Greetings. My name is Renee Clary. Do you encounter some uncomfortable student attitudes when the classroom discussion turns to evolutionary theory or geologic time? Not all teachers will encounter an uncomfortable atmosphere, but some of you will. Perhaps I just wasn't observant, but in my former school, it seemed that students were happy and content with all of the science content that we discussed. However, when I moved to a new region, I was rather surprised to learn that some students refused to acknowledge that the Earth was older than about 6,000 years. And when my son brought home this t-shirt from a local thrift shop, I felt as if I had been ignoring the elephant in the classroom. However, we know we cannot bring religious discussions into our science classrooms. Bill Nye's and Ken Ham's debate only showed us that productive discussion doesn't always take place. So this article will describe an alternative method. About 3 years ago, before we discussed hominid evolution, I assigned my students a personal reflection. I asked them to reflect upon their personal religious and philosophical viewpoints and how these views would align with the science content we would discuss later in the week. I assured my students that this reflection would be completely private and I wouldn't share it with anyone. I also assured my students that if they made an honest effort to complete the assignment, they would receive a perfect score on the assignment, regardless of the opinion that they voiced. I was really amazed with the reflections that my students produced, and all students received 100%. We had a very diverse classroom. Some students were conformable with evolutionary theory. Some students found it problematic, and most students had a merged position somewhere between the two. I passed back these assignments, and I publicly stated that I was impressed by my students' responses. And I also stated that our classroom was very diverse and we had many different opinions. And then I started the lesson. And an amazing thing happened. We had a productive classroom discussion, and no one appeared to be uncomfortable, not even those students who had stated in a private reflection that they found evolutionary theory problematic. Since that time, I've used this assignment in all of my classes, and some of my colleagues have used it as well, and they report similar findings. In this article, you will find writing prompts, directions for how to conduct an out-of-classroom assignment, a reflection assignment, and also a discussion of an easy method to score these reflections, the check plus minus system. So, if you encounter uncomfortable student attitudes in your classroom, I encourage you to try this method. And if you do, let me know how your students respond. My email address can be found at the end of the article. Thank you so much for taking the time to read how you can bridge philosophical and religious viewpoints in your science classroom through an out-of-class reflection assignment.